Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Automotive Idiotics. I'm Joey.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Logan.
Today's episode, we're going to be talking about handsome practicality. So what that means is cars that are both very good looking, but can still be used for everyday use. So stuff that you can drive to work, but still be able to throw the kids in the back seat, unlike your Subaru BRZ that you can legally throw people back there, but it doesn't actually work. So it's cars that look very good, but you can still use it for everyday use. You can throw the kids in the back seat with all their appendages and still be able to get the groceries.
Attached.
Yes, all appendages attached. Anyways, Logan actually does have a lot of experience with the first vehicle we're going to talk about, so he's going to go ahead and take things from here.
Yeah, as you can see by my shirt, which doesn't actually have my car on it, which I thought it did. It has my old one, which is right here.
Yeah, we just found that out like 2 minutes ago.
Yes.
He goes, it's missing one. No, it's not.
Yeah,
It's missing yours.
Missing the one. The
Yes.
one that's most important.
The one
Anyways.
that ruled them all.
So the one I currently own is the one this is about, the Mark 7 GTI, 7th generation. So the GTI is one of the quicker cars on this list. It's a hot hatchback, and hot hatches are typically your normal compact car, but amped up a little bit. Maybe throw a turbo on there, some slightly more aggressive styling, or boy racer styling in the case of its competitors.
Yeah.
And then call it good, while still being a reasonably priced car.
Mhm.
So, the GTI, the Mark 7, has a 2-liter turbo with 220 horsepower and 258 foot-pounds of torque, underrated from the factory. And that is mated to either, get out of here, a 6-speed manual transmission or a 6-speed DSG paddle shift.
So you got to have them flappy paddles.
Yes, I went with manual. The DSG is faster, slightly.
Faster, but you have to give up your man card.
Yes, and it requires more service, and it's more expensive. So
Exactly. And heavier.
go with the manual, and heavier.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Weight reduction, bro.
It is front-wheel drive, as most hot hatches are, aside from like the Golf R and the RS3 and the RS, the Focus RS.
Those are really in a different.
Those
than
are
a
kind of a step
hatch.
up from a hot hatch. They're
Yeah.
top of the line ones. But this one, you're looking at a price range of $25K to $35K, and depending on which trim or option you get, which there aren't really very many options. It's well equipped from base. You get your heated seats, your infotainment with your Apple CarPlay, Android CarPlay, Bluetooth, all that. And you have all the safety features besides driver assists, a sunroof, and leather. That's pretty much your options, plus xenon lights and bigger brakes.
Yep, xenon lights, so you can make sure to blind everyone else on the road.
They're not
Laser
the worst
beams.
offender on that. We got laser headlights now. We're in the future.
Yeah, but
You can blind everyone equally.
Yeah, that's BMW though, and since you win, has
Well, not
BMW.
Toyota too.
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
Toyota, you're
Toyota
killing me
Camrys.
here. First you
Camrys
make the
and
Prius, then
Corollas.
you do this.
The new
If you want to blind everyone.
the new Forerunners, I think, they set it the perfect ride height for normal sedans to blind you.
Oh, fantastic!
It's a conspiracy. It's how they're trying to push their automated cars. They're like, everyone will be blind, so no one can drive anyways.
Oh.
So now you have to buy cars that can drive themselves.
Great.
And configure their own opinions. Your cars will be voting.
Oh
Just
gosh.
to wait for it. Anyway, back onto the practicality. You got 27 combined MPG, which is roughly, I think I could get 33 highway, low to mid 20s city if I was trying. That's if staying out of boost. If you drive like me or Andrew or probably him, then no.
Me, depending on the music I'm listening to. Tokyo Drift comes on, no promises.
Okay, well that's the problem. 'Cause me and Andrew just listen to
Tokyo Drift on loop.
yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
And as a cargo capacity, you got a pretty large space. You got 52.7 cubic feet. You fold those seats down, you can fit flat screen televisions, my drum set, 4 wheels and tires separately from each other. I've done that. You can fit a lot of stuff back there. It's a good space.
That's what she's.
5 seats. I mean, the middle person in the back will be a little squished, but it's reasonable. And I think
Ride's
personally,
pretty comfortable as long as you don't
Yeah.
send it airborne.
if you're stock, he's got a pretty good ride. That's one of the things I'm worried about with coilovers, but we'll get to that in a later video.
Yep.
anyways, I think the GTI, in my opinion, is one of the best all-rounders for the price. It can do everything well, and yeah.
Aside from its front-wheel drive.
Yeah.
So that leads us into our next vehicle, which is all-wheel drive. That's actually a Mazda. That one is going to be the Mazda CX-5. Now, I've pretty much driven everything in Mazda's lineup, and aside from the Miata, personally, I think the CX-5 is actually their best driving vehicle. And the reason why that would be somewhat surprising is simply because it's actually a mid-size crossover. It's not a car. It's more of an SUV. However, though, with that being said, it's a pretty dang good looking SUV. Mazda's been redesigning so many of their vehicles, and for the last few years, they've been putting a lot more aggressive styling into things. I can't remember what the Japanese word is that they use for it, but they're putting in what's called the style of motion, which looks really, really good on all their vehicles. It is of course, pretty reasonably priced as well. This one actually sits right in about the same price range as the GTI. You're going to be spending somewhere between $24,000 and $37,000 on this one. However, though, the cool thing is with the most recent model year, the CX-5 actually comes available with the 2.5-liter turbocharged engine that you can get in the CX-9, its third row SUV big brother. But that one, when running on premium fuel, just the kind of the caveat there, when running on premium fuel, it produces 250 horse, but then 310 foot-pounds of torque at 1,800 RPM. So, especially when you pair that with an all-wheel drive system, it can really launch. It'll really get going. But as far as practicality goes, with these seats in place, it actually has about 30.9 cubic feet. But then when you drop down the rear seats, it almost doubles that usable space to 59.6 cubic feet. Now, also on top of that, this one actually got a pretty good award the last few years in a row. It won Car and Driver's Best Midsize Crossover. So it's not just us that like it, or I guess I should say me. These guys don't give two craps about practical cars.
That car and that driver really like it. As I said, cars have opinions now. What car was that? It was probably a Mazda CX-5.
Maybe even the CX-9 is looking down on its little brother.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Andrew, please start. Andrew, please start talking. Start talking, please.
Well, the next car we have is back to front-wheel drive. It is the Nissan Maxima, which recently we have thought it's looked pretty good, but we think has a bit more potential if they put a real transmission in it.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, you can only buy them with the CVT. But it does have a 3-liter V6 putting out 300 horsepower, which is good. It only weighs 3,300 pounds, which is only 100 more pounds than the GTI, which is a compact car. And this is a full-size sedan. It comes in a little bit more than the GTI. It's actually more in Golf R price range territory. It's about $33,000 to $40,000. But you really get full-size sedan comfort. Kind of cruises along nice, smoothly, easy to drive, not big, not very dramatic. Gets you about 20 to 30 mpg, city then highway. Then you get 14.3 cubic feet of storage in the trunk of it. And then that brings us next to
Going to step back over to our resident German.
This car is technically not available in the US yet. So for any European reviewers we have, you may know this car. It's the RS6 Avant, or as I have it on here, just the RS, because apparently 6 is gone. So, anyways, the GTI it's a quick car stock. This is another ballgame. This is all-wheel drive, 4-liter, twin turbo V8, putting out 597 horsepower and 553 foot-pounds of torque.
Hey, I had a twin.
Now, those kind of numbers are things you expect from, I don't know, a Huracan or the Audi R8, not a station wagon, which is what this is. Which is why it's awesome.
No, this isn't a station wagon.
The RS6 Avant.
Yeah, it is.
It's a wagon.
It is classified as a hatchback.
Okay, it's a wagon. We all know it's a wagon. twin turbo V8. It's paired to an 8-speed Tiptronic paddle shift transmission. So you got a lot of speeds in there. It means it's fast. That's not what it means.
Then why aren't semis faster?
Because
They have a lot of speeds.
driver error.
Oh my gosh. We're gonna get beat up now.
By who?
I have friends who drive trucks.
Well, it's gonna take them a while to get here, isn't it?
I'm sorry. Tony, I'm sorry.
It's okay, Tony. It's in jest.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Anyways, this one is all-wheel drive, so it's got Audi's Quattro system in it, which, I mean, Audi pretty much invented all-wheel drive, automobiles, with the Quattro system for rallying and other things. So, you know, it's a good system. It's proven. It's pretty much up there with Subaru. They're the two main systems. You got about 59.3 cubic feet of cargo capacity, or assisted capacity, as I have it in here too, because I don't know what I was doing when I was writing this. But, so, again, plenty of space. Also 5 seats, big trunk, hatch wagon area.
Hatch wagon?
Hatch wagon area.
Yeah, hatch wagon. That's what it's called.
MPG wise, this one's not quite as good. You got 16 combined.
Just a little bit lower.
But, I
Little
mean,
Who really cares, though?
you gotta compromise here. You got 4-liter twin turbo V8 or 33 MPG. Decide.
Now, the big question though is, how much do you have to shell out to get all that?
Okay. Well, all right. So you know,
now he's back.
You know the GTI. You got like $30,000.
Everything we've talked about though.
Triple that a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
And you got about $93K minimum without options. So
this
it's
is
an
for
Audi.
you 1%ers.
It's an Audi, so there's a lot of options. So, I mean, you can either pick it up used, because we all know these German luxury cars, they depreciate like a rock as soon as you drive them off. So, I mean,
Very true.
when it comes to the U.S., if it comes to the U.S., wait 5 years, then you could probably pick one up for 40, 50K. And then it's a bargain.
Yeah, that's a bargain.
Yeah.
Again, for you 1%ers.
Okay.
Hold on. Going back to equipment, the last thing I'll wrap it up with, it's an Audi. Got lots of tech, like all the other premium luxury German cars do. You got 14-speaker sound, night vision, so you can see deer or whatever, or homeless people, whatever Audi drivers do, whatever they look for at night. You got a heads-up display and plenty of other options. All right, now I'm done.
On here. So the BMW 3 Series, which is, it's a little bit pricier, but it's not quite. It's not quite Audi Avant kind of expensive.
This is pricey if you're not a 1%er.
This is
Yeah.
This is $35,000 to $50,000, not including the M3.
This is upper middle class, not 1%.
Yes.
So we're ranging from 280 horsepower to 320 horsepower. About those come with an 8-speed automatic transmission, or you also have the option of doing a 6-speed manual in some variations of the 3 Series, which
The sportier
again,
ones.
there's a long list of them. It is quite heavy though. It is about 4,200 pounds curb capacity, which if we go back to like the Maxima, which is probably the most comparable car to it in this category, the Maxima is only 3,300, and it's making about the same power. So,
and it's bigger.
Yes, and it's bigger. So really, in a straight line, who knows? But the 3 Series, though, does come with the typical BMW options: fancy leather interior, fancy digital screens.
Which is why it's heavier.
Lots and lots of stuff to break 5 years down the road because it's a BMW.
Yes.
Okay.
In BMW's case, as soon as it leaves warranty.
But it
Exactly.
It does have more cargo capacity, though. It is 17 cubic feet to 56 when you're able to fold down the seats, or if you buy a hatchback version. And you get roughly 26 city, 36 highway. Moving on to the boring segment.
Hey guys, time for the boring segment. Here I am. We wanted to keep it somewhat fair. So that's why we did include the CX-5, because it is a family hauler. But if
Yeah,
we're
we
to
got
start,
everything, we got hatchbacks.
Yeah, we got hatchback.
sedans. We got a wagon or a long hatchback.
Hatch wagon.
Okay, we're gonna go with hatch wagon.
And now we've got a minivan.
Yeah, we decided to throw a minivan on here. Well,
more like he decided.
I decided to throw a minivan on here, mostly because I am pretty much our resident Honda fanboy. And if you're gonna buy a minivan, there's really only one option if you're really gonna buy a minivan, and that's the Honda Odyssey. It's one of those, again, if you have to buy a minivan, it is the best looking option. I'm pretty sure we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
It's the best option, hands down. There's nothing you can say or do about it.
I'm just gonna throw in that there's another option. It's called the Toyota Previa. It's mid-engined, turboed, and it's old. But
and
it's
doesn't get made anymore.
Yes, but it's cool. That's the second option.
Also,
but it's also ugly.
But it's mid-engined and turbocharged.
No, I thought it was supercharged.
I think there's a turbo and a supercharged.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure.
And so if you want to buy some ancient brick from the 90s
That's cool.
that is super, super quirky, get the Toyota Previa. If you want to buy something that is modern, more reliable. Anyways, the Honda Odyssey, though, it's, if anything, it's definitely going to be cheaper than the Audi. Not like that takes much. It's going to be sitting you somewhere between $30,000 and $47,000 on average. Now, that is considering the highest end model actually is one of the most expensive minivans to ever have been made from the factory, that is, if you're not including the Honda Odyssey BC Moto. In which case, if you've never heard of that, look it up right now. Stop the video, go look it up right now. It's freaking cool. But the Odyssey, though, obviously, since it is a minivan, is probably the most practical car on this entire list. Space-wise, you're sitting at 38.6 cubic feet with all the seats in place. But the second you open up the entire rear area of the vehicle, it skyrockets to 158 cubic feet of space. Anyways, however, though, it is still no slouch. Honda's 3.5-liter V6 is actually a fairly impressive engine. It's putting out 262 foot-pounds of torque and 280 horsepower. So not bad. You're not going to break any land speed records, mostly because it's heavy as crap, but it's not bad. The cool thing, though, this has definitely been a more modern styling cue for a lot of modern vehicles. It has been the floating roof lines. And if you don't know what I mean, we're obviously going to throw a picture above my head here. Now, what it is that vehicle designers, what they do is that they end up painting at least 2 or 3, depending on the size of the vehicle, of the pillars on it black, and painting one of the pillars and the roof line the same body color. That way, it makes it look like the roof line is floating there, and it's not. It's only connected at one point, which gives it a really kind of interesting look. If you were to compare it with something that doesn't have that, it looks kind of bland. So it kind of classes it up and makes it look, I guess, dare I say, sportier.
Yeah, if you want to look like you're inside a stormtrooper helmet.
That too.
There you go.
That's the Nissan Rogue.
Or the Koenigsegg Agera. They always look like that too.
Yeah. Anyways, but regardless, that's what we have here for you guys today. So if you liked the video, make sure to actually click the like button. Leave a comment below on anything that you agreed with us on, or maybe another vehicle that you think is also handsome but still practical. But most importantly, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you can make sure to keep track of everything else that we are doing here for you guys.
And watch what you say around your cars. They may be listening.